All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. I hope you're doing well. So, folks, today I'm going to tell you the short, horrible story of Cameron Herrin. For that one, we got to Florida ourselves down to Fort Lauderdale. He was given a truly eye-popping sentence about a week or two ago. I've been thinking about it a lot. And then I don't know how long that one's going to take. So, for the remaining time, we're going to talk about Mount Everest. As we speak right now, as I'm recording this, it's the one time a year where the weather is good enough to attempt the summit on Mount Everest, which sends droves and droves of climbers, ranging from extremely strong, capable, experienced climbers all the way down to Westerners that don't have any business being on a mountain, let alone Everest, who are pretty much carried by the Sherpas unconscious, hooked up to oxygen, up the hill and down. And then I always picture when they get down, the Sherpas like slap them awake. Wake up! And they wake up like, I did it! I climbed Everest. They take an Instagram picture. I feel rested. And so I've tried to read every article and blog post and anything I could to bring you guys the most up-to-date 2021 Summit Wave news right here on True Crime Loser. But first, let's Florida ourselves down to Fort Lauderdale, where in 2018, Cameron Herrin made the multiple life-ruining mistake of thinking street racing in the middle of a city was a good idea. And Cameron Herrin's driving either his or his parents' new fast black Mustang. His brother's in the passenger seat. Their friends in the other car. I'm sure they all pulled up to the starting line, which was probably a crosswalk for pedestrians. Pulled up to the starting line thinking, we're going full Fast and the Furious. This is going to be so cool. And the unspeakable happened. I guess the race started, and I don't know how soon after it started, but Cameron runs into, and maybe over, I don't know, a 24-year-old mother and her toddler, killing them. Imagine the husband. You're sitting there thinking life's going good, mowing the lawn. I got a great wife. I got this daughter, and just an 18-year-old going full Fast and the Furious takes it all away instantly. Poor guy. I think about him randomly like a couple times a year, just being like, dang, I hope that guy's figured some sort of happiness and closure out of the whole thing. But so just a street race, and like I said, it's 2018. I got recommended the YouTube video, and the image burned in my mind forever is Cameron's black Mustang, like a monster from a nightmare, is in the road next to the mangled, bent-up stroller. Probably never forget that. And just because how sad it was, it kind of became a national story. And then they're thinking, okay, these guys are 18 years old. It's going to take a while to get the trial, even just to get to the trial. So I think they allowed them, to bond out and then to resume their life, because they are on the young side, and then they can start taking responsibility. So they bonded out, and it made the news again. Cameron does a court appearance. He's wearing like the suicide outfit, and he wants to go to college to hang out with some friends. And they're like, okay, yeah, you can go to college. Again, try to resume your life while the trial and everything is happening, and then you're going to have to... Well, he asked if he could drive to college. So that made the story come into the news again. Like, Cameron Herrin, the driver that really just ruined everything, wants to drive to college. And so him getting denied being able to drive to college went kind of viral again, and he's wearing the suicide suit. All right, so 2 years pass. They do the trial, the whole thing. The guy in the other car, who was part of the race but didn't hit the mom and the toddler, he gets sentenced to 6 years. And at first, Cameron's brother, they had him street racing charges too, but eventually the state dropped those charges. So the story, it was all coming together. All right, that guy got 6 years. Cameron's lawyers then also asked for 6 years. They thought that would be fair. Again, it was a really stupid accident, but it was an accident. That's kind of the angle they were going for. The other guy got 6 years. And so after more than 2 years, it's time for Cameron's sentencing. And like I said, it was like a week or two ago. And he's in there wearing a nice suit. He's got the COVID mask, and I'll link the sentencing video. I think it's about 10 minutes long. And the judge starts talking about, the reason I did this sentence. And maybe, 6 or 7 minutes into the 10-minute video, he gives him the sentence. And the first charge he gives him, what was it? He gives him... 9 years. Yeah, I think the first one he gave him 9 years. And so Cameron's sitting there with his COVID mask. And then on the second charge, and you got to think, I think Cameron, just by the eye-popping look on his face when he gets the next one, I think Cameron assumed it would be close to 6, like the guy in the other car, or I guess, I don't know, in the same ballpark as 6. So he gets 9, and he kind of doesn't react. And you can only see half his face anyway. And then the judge goes, for the second charge, I'm going to give you 15 years, and they're going to run consecutively, so for a total of 24 years. And Cameron, who had been sitting there pretty stoic at the 15 years and the 24, his eyes pop out of his head. I'm gonna use it as the picture, the thumbnail, but he's just sitting there like that. And I was thinking, 24 years for a little exciting 10-second street race. That's the problem, is everybody thinks they're getting Fast and the Furious, and then you end up getting Fast and the Floridious. That's just where a Florida judge sentences you to 3 decades in jail. That really should be the final finale of the Fast and the Furious saga. They're like, this summer, the epic conclusion of the saga. We've found out who the fastest was. We found out who the furious was. This summer, we find who the Floridious is. No! And it's just a dull courtroom drama. There's no cool cars. There's no shots of hot girl butts. There's no cash. There's no sitting around drinking Coronas at the barbecue after the big race. It's just a dull courtroom drama where a judge sentences you for a bulk of your life in jail, and then you go and cry your eyes out in your jail cell. So, and also Cameron is a good-looking kid. He's got these like gray eyes and a whole symmetrical-looking face. And so any video on YouTube where he's in it, there's a lot of comments like, he is a pretty dude to go to prison. He's not going to do that. He doesn't have the greatest prison look, is what I'm trying to say. So, again, if you don't want to flush your life and multiple lives around you down the toilet, don't race in a city. You want to race, find a racetrack. We used to go, my dad and I, where I grew up, there was a drag racetrack. We would never go on the night where the real drag racers, there was like an open night where just anyone could enter with their car like this. Like if Cameron wants to go race the Black Mustang, he gets to. And it was so much fun. Most people just like blow their engines, or, it wasn't like experienced drivers. But if you got the whole need for speed, I want to be a street racer, you got to find yourself a track. It's not worth it. You're like, yeah, this is so much fun. Well, that's the same face you're going to make when the judge goes, 15 years, goodbye. And then that, following this or watching this sentence a couple times, sent me down a YouTube wormhole where it recommended me another young woman is just getting into some unbelievable trouble, where in 2014 she was drunk and like hit some poor guy, killed him. They gave her leniency, and just recently, like a week or two ago, she gets into a high-speed chase. She's going 111 miles an hour. She's drunk. She's got her cousin in the passenger seat. She loses control, like flies off the road and kills her cousin. So she was drunk and killed someone in 2014, and now here we are in 2021. She's driving drunk again and kills her own cousin, and her nightmare is just starting. But the last thing I heard is the judge is like, your bond is canceled. You're not getting out. You're very dangerous. And then that one sent me down a through the wormhole more, very recently in my area, a woman named Jessica Beauvais was a podcaster here in New York City, and I don't know if her podcast is always anti-police or if it was just the ironic theme of the night, but man, she does a podcast. This is also like a 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. She does a podcast where she's looks like taking shots. They have to say allegedly now, but she's, taking shots, chasing them with Snapple, going off like the police. We don't care about your mother. We don't care about your daughter. Like comically going off. You're vermin. She goes, you're bug spray. You're an infestation. Talking to the police, like fixing her coat, getting all brave as she's taking shots. It's getting bigger, like, and another thing, that type of podcast. Well, she, I guess, gets all liquored up doing her podcast. The podcast ends, too, with being like, all right, everybody, we'll see you next week on Facebook and Instagram. And with that, fuck the police. And then it ends. And then I guess she leaves there. Driving home, there's an accident on her way home where someone was killed and a police officer is directing traffic around so they can deal with that fatal car accident. And Jessica, coming home from her podcast all liquored up, slams into that police officer who was directing traffic, sends him cartwheeling through the air. He lands 100 feet away, which probably means she was just like looking down, right? I don't think you got to be going real fast or just literally not looking where you're going. So the police officer dies, and I mean, she's starting like the biggest nightmare you could ever imagine. Imagine that. She left the scene a little bit and then crashed, and now the only footage of her is her being, they got her, and then the footage of her is bringing her out of the police station crying, as all the reporters are going, Jessica, are you sorry? Are you, and she gets into the police car, and I mean, talk about just drive safe, people. After going down this wormhole, it's like you can really just ruin everything with your car quicker without planning any. It's one thing to plan for months, like I'm gonna kill my wife, or I'm gonna kill my husband, he's so mean and I want his money, and then you get caught or something doing that. At least those people knew, all right, what I'm doing is there's a chance that I could go down in absolute flames. I think a lot of these people that blow it with the car, they think, they wake up that morning thinking everything is good, and it's about the quickest way you can get a 24-year sentence. Oh my God, just boom. So drive safe, people. Don't drive like an asshole. All right, and with that, let's switch to Mount Everest. So Nepal, half of Mount Everest is in Nepal, and half of Mount Everest is in China, right? And so the Nepal side is very, very crowded all of the time. The China side is less crowded. Some of the really top-of-the-line guiding companies are switching from the Nepal side around to the China side because it's just less lines. Everybody probably that's even close to interested in it have seen the new, just totally absurd lines where it's hundreds of people going down Mount Everest, all attached to the same rope. It's almost looked like some weird Disneyland ride where you take a step an hour to try to get to the top to get the barbecue story. Nepal's a very poor country. They make pretty much all their money off tourism, so they really need Mount Everest. It's a total cash cow. To get a permit to climb it's quite a bit, and they issue a bunch of them. And so 2020, because of COVID, the climbing season was pretty much canceled on both sides, and Nepal, like everybody, just ate a COVID financial sandwich on that one. And so 2021, Nepal especially was really looking to just get everything going as normal again. So they issued a bunch of permits once again. And kind of funny, China didn't issue any permits. They didn't want any COVID being transferred over the summit back in, or they didn't want anyone traveling to China with COVID. So they, again, can't. So no one, or only a few Chinese nationals climbed it from China's side. Something a little bit funny is the Chinese government came out and said they're going to put a line of separation at the top. And so, which is funny because the summit of Mount Everest is about as big as a dinner table. Just, it's enough for like a couple freezing people to sit on top, take a picture. And to put a line of separation, what does that even look like? I could picture just one of those maroon velvet ropes that they have at the movie theater, and it's just two Chinese guards frozen solid, and like a little like talk box that's connected to a government official back in Beijing being like, wake up, wake up. The box is like vibrating, icicles are falling out, wake up. The guards are just completely frozen. It's like if there's one place you probably don't need a line to block off, like, this is ours, don't come over, it's at the top of Everest. But I thought that was pretty funny. Also, kind of the story of this year on Everest is the lack of stories coming out of Everest, and there's a few reasons for that. For the first time, Nepal made a rule that if you're going to take a picture, only your team, the people on your expedition, can be in the picture. So all the pictures coming out are like close-ups of 4 people. Hey, how are you? And you're not seeing any like big mountain where there's a bunch of people, and people think it's because for the first time Nepal might be running a little PR, like, all right, the more pictures comes up that just looks like crowds going up the mountain is not good. And so don't take any pictures of the line or the bottlenecks. So for the first time, there's a rule on pictures from the Nepal side. So far as my research up to this point, there's been 2 deaths. One guy made it to the top and then made it actually back to his tent, I assume at Camp 4, the highest camp, and then got altitude type, one of the pulmonary type, and then quickly deteriorated and died. And then the other one made it to, I don't know if he made it to the Hillary step and got exhausted and just sat down and that was it, or made it to the top and then back down to the Hillary step and then got exhausted. So there's been one like pulmonary altitude type sickness, and then another one that just got a little too tired. Those are the ones that fascinate me. It's not just on Everest, on mountains on all over, the world. People walk themselves out and just sit down like, all right, whew, that is it for me. I told a story last year where I'll try to post that in the description too if I remember, but I told a story last year that just a real quick reminder of a woman who was 34. She was born in Nepal, had married a guy in Canada, and she comes out at the age of 34 and goes, she didn't say this, but she had tried to open a business. It tanked. She then decided, I'm going to be a politician. No one voted for her. And I guess just a last-ditch effort to have something to talk about or to have something that gave her self-worth, she told everybody, I'm climbing Mount Everest. I'm going to be the first Nepalese Canadian woman to climb Mount Everest. And her friends were like, what? You want to get a cab if the walk is more than 10 minutes? How? You don't even go on any hikes. And she goes, no, this is my new goal in life. And so she got some guiding company that probably shouldn't have taken her, but they were new and they needed money, so they took this brand new, inexperienced climber. She gets out there, they're climbing for like 50 days. You just kind of climb around out there, get used to the altitude, climb up, climb back down. And during that period, everyone was going, she's so slow. You can't let her do it. She's too slow. And the guiding company was just like, oh, well, we're still going to let her, we think she can make it. And then by the time they got to this point in the year where it's actually people are doing it, and even the guiding company at that point were like, actually, no, you shouldn't go. And she was like, I'm going. And to everybody's surprise, she walked all the way to the top. She made it to the summit of Mount Everest, but she didn't leave any energy left and died very quickly coming back down. The Sherpas are trying to, keep her, psych her up, keep walking, going, come on, Dee Dee, walk, Dee Dee. You got to keep walking, Dee Dee. Well, Dee Dee had run out of energy, and she sits down, and for a short period, as climbers and stuff walked by, she was begging them, don't let me die, don't let me die. And at that point, there's nothing anyone can do except shrug their shoulders and go, lady, you walked yourself to the one place no one can help you, and now here you are. So, and so she took the old snow nap, never made it off, and so that raised all these questions of, should guiding companies be able to accept? That was the whole discussion from that video, and that happened years ago. Well, then last year, almost the exact opposite of that happened, where a number of they had done other mountains, and experienced climbers paid I think it's probably average about 70 grand these days, paid the 70 grand to this guiding company. They go out there, they hike to base camp, they're getting ready, and then the guiding company calls it for the year. They say, nope, it's too dangerous this year. And the climbers then sued the guiding company, which opens another just bizarre conversation, because the guiding company, who you pay to keep you safe and to tell you when to climb and to do all the things, that's what they're there for. They call it for being too dangerous. Sorry, folks, it's not the year. And in all of the, in the contracts and stuff, you don't get a refund. If the guide says the year, the weather is too bad, it's not safe, we're all going to die, you don't get your money back. So the guiding company called it. Well, the climbers were like, what do you mean? The weather is good. Why would other people are doing it? So then, like I said, the climbers sued the guiding company, and I'm still trying to follow along because that'll be interesting. Will you really be able to sue a company if they can't get you to the top? It's going to open a hole. And I had one more thing I wanted to say about that. Yeah, I don't know. It just made me laugh to think about like the climbers being like, come on, we got to go to the summit. The weather's great. And the guide, maybe, I assume he was telling the truth and just really thought it was too dangerous. But there's something funny about like a guide that just gets lazy or figured, I'm just going to take all these people's money one time, not do any of the risk, and then retire with everybody's 70 grand. But there's just something funny about the climbers all standing around like, what do you mean the weather's going to be bad? The computers say it's all good. And the guide is like picking up dirt and dropping it and being like, nope, storm's coming. And they're like, what do you mean? It says we have 3 days. He's like standing on his head, like doing some weird position. Sorry, storm's coming. And I felt like it was almost the complete opposite from the Nepalese Canadian woman who the guiding company's like, if you want to go, we'll take you, to the opposite of experienced climbers going, why aren't we going? And the guide is just, sorry, storm's coming, I'm keeping all the money. And so they pretty much spent 70 grand to walk to base camp, which I think you can do a base camp trek for around 5 grand. But anyway, very interesting. I think there's a storm happening right now, and then when it clears up, there'll be a whole nother summit wave. The last thing I was reading about, I guess there's a bunch of COVID cases at base camp, and again, Nepal was saying, maybe don't talk about all the COVID at base camp. I can't imagine worrying that much about COVID if I was there climbing Everest. All those pulmonary altitude type sicknesses, you can go from a strong, I feel great, let's go, to just coughing up blood, dead in your tent in like 15 minutes. I mean, it can really just go quick. And there's avalanches and rocks and big glaciers can fall on you. And so to just add COVID to the list of dangers at that point, I don't know. But I'm going to cut it off there. I hope you guys are having a good start to the week. I'll see you soon. Love you all. Why? Stiving why? Shamita.